garbage people. Go vote for the community garbage person of the week. For now, stay safe out there. Stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, none other than Ms. Yasmin Aliya Khan. Always fascinating to have her brilliant analysis. Top story of the day, cops shoot a man over 30 times and lied about him having a knife. We have the update. Here's the body cam.
Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Do not go back in the house! Do not go back in the house! Please! Show me your hands! Drop it! Drop it now! Drop it! Drop it! Get there!
Put up the picture full mass. They shot him a total of 34 times. The Kansas police have been caught lying after body cam footage shows the officers shot a man 34 times holding only a wrench. For more than 2 years, the Kansas prosecutors claimed that Topeka police shot and killed a black man named Taylor Lowry because he came charging at them with a knife, making them fear for their lives. But that was proven to be a lie after body cam footage of the shooting was released to the family last week. The footage shows Lowry was only holding a wrench and was actually backing away from officers when they opened fire, shooting him 34 times on October 13th, 2022, leaving him with 41 bullet wounds because some of the bullets left multiple injuries, the ricochet effect. It was only after the 33-year-old man lay dying in front of a gas station that they realized he was holding a wrench, not a knife, which was lying only inches away from the cops as they opened fire. Nevertheless, a Topeka police officer lied to Lowry's sister when she showed up at the scene, distraught and crying over the shooting death of her brother. Quote, "He tried to attack us with that knife," end quote, is what the cops said. Topeka police and city attorneys maintained that false narrative for more than 2 years, along with the Kansas Bureau of Investigation and the Shawnee County District Attorney's Office refusing to release the body cam under the guise, quote, "It is not in the public's interest to view the video." Now, let me say this. If you believe the cops made a good faith mistake, even though easily at least one officer should have had enough investigative prowess to know the difference between a wrench and a knife, you can't argue that the cover-up is in good faith as well. The cover-up is indicative of a guilty conscience. The cover-up is, in fact, a criminal conspiracy at face value. The cover-up itself shows how not only multiple cops, but multiple departments were willing to engage in criminal activity in order to not tell the truth. It wasn't until a federal magistrate judge ordered the release of the footage in December as part of what? A wrongful death lawsuit filed in August that the family was able to release the videos to the media exposing the lies that the government had dished out for more than 2 years. If it would have been left up to the normative investigative process, none of us may have ever seen this video. But because the family took the extrajudicial step, filed a wrongful death lawsuit, bringing in another jurisdiction in a civil process, you now have a mandate. You have an order to release. And because of that order to release, it exposes a crime inside of a crime inside of a crime by multiple jurisdictions who were willing to go along with it. Put them up, full mass. That false narrative was maintained by the Shawnee County District Attorney, Michael F. Kege, who cleared the cops of wrongdoing and released a 15-page report with redactions explaining his decision, claiming Laurie took a fighting stance against the cops. Keep his picture up. This is a civil servant approved by the local bar, the state bar, in order to engage in the practice of law. Not only should this action be considered criminal, we should have already heard from the bar about his qualifications to remain an attorney. We're waiting on that report. We're going to stay on top of it. The Topeka City Attorney, Amanda Stanley, also went along with the lie, refusing to release the videos to local media because she claimed it would, quote, not be in the public's interest, according to the Topeka Capital Journal. Now, just a reminder, the video is government property. That government property is paid for by the taxpayer. The taxpayer has a right to review under open records, a right to review the video. You don't get more you don't get a more compelling reason to need public disclosure than somebody being dead by way of a public servant. That's open and shut. There's more. And now that the lies have been exposed, attorneys for the police officers have filed a motion against one of the attorneys representing the Laurie family, a Black woman named Lorana Sanders, for releasing the body cam videos to the family despite the judge's order. Quote, deadly force is reasonable only if the officer had probable cause to believe that the suspect posed a significant threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or others, the claim states. Now, if just one cop lied, you have a cop problem. Two cops lied, maybe you have a cultural issue at the police department. Multiple cops and multiple prosecutors over multiple jurisdictions for multiple years lied. What do you have? We don't have a word for it. Corruption definitely falls short of describing what has happened. Not one individual had enough integrity, enough fortitude to be a whistleblower. A man is dead. He should be alive. Not one individual had enough morality to speak up, release by way of leaking information to the media so that at least justice could be served. Not one of you. But you all are elected and appointed as administrators of justice. You should be ashamed of yourself. Every single one of you should have been fired and charged in the cover-up, if nothing else. Gas, thoughts here?
Yeah, even if someone had a gun in their hand, not even a wrench, do you need to shoot them 34 times? Cops should be taught to shoot to disarm or shoot to detain. You can't detain or disarm someone in less than 34 shots. Maybe they need to spend more time at the shooting range. I don't know, but that feels quite excessive. And this excuse that the footage was not in the public's interest, I want to say I think I was talking about this recently at another show. Of course, it's in the public's interest. The cops work for us, for our communities. Whatever they're up to, whatever they're doing is in the public interest. It's not for them to decide what we would be interested in. Let us see the tape and we can decide for ourselves how interested we are in it. The lying is appalling, but I don't know why cops wouldn't lie in situations like this. Their options are to take accountability for their actions, which could result in murder or manslaughter charges, or at least dismissal from their jobs. Or they could just lie about what actually happened with the knowledge that they will likely never have to be held accountable for the lie, with the knowledge that the people who are supposed to hold cops like this accountable are the same people who will likely protect them from those consequences. Nothing is going to change until there are stronger consequences for these types of actions, not just for the shooting, but as he said, for the lying, for the deceiving the public, for covering up what actually happened and keeping it from the public. And when we say things like it's not one bad apple, this is a systemic issue, this is exactly what we're talking about. Why were these cops protected by the district attorney for so long? We want more transparency. We want strong consequences for bad policing. And the argument there is that cops need to feel protected in order to engage in policing against dangerous persons. But I kind of don't care about that anymore. At this point, I feel like that just needs to be considered part of the risk of doing that particular job. No one is making you become a cop. If you choose to become a cop, that is the risk that you're taking on, because incidents like this are happening way too often. Even the handful of stories that make it onto shows like this one, it's too much. It's too often. People are dying because cops are too trigger happy, and they always justify it by saying that the cops' lives were in danger. But how often do we later find out that that was not the case at all? Qualified immunity should not be as qualified as it is.
Well said. And you can't help but to imagine that much of their trigger happy ways is connected to the system of prosecutors willing to protect them when they kill someone unnecessarily. We will stay on top of this story. All right, here we go. West Point Academy has now disbanded all social clubs for non-white students. Put it up full mass. Let's get into the weeds. West Point Academy disbands all social clubs for Black and other non-white students on campus, sparking obvious outrage after Trump's executive order to dismantle DEI programs within federal agencies. One of the nation's 5 military academies has ordered its cadets to disband their own clubs and organizations that specifically support non-white students on campus. Now, I want you to understand, these are organizations, student-governed, student-led, student-operated organizations, just like you would have on any other college campus in the United States of America. This has to do with students being leaders as students, okay? These are now disbanded. A memorandum verified by the Washington Post states that 12 clubs at West Point Academy must cancel all formal and informal meetings and activities. The listed clubs include the Asian Pacific Forum Club, Contemporary Cultural Affairs Seminar Club, Corbin Forum, Japanese Forum Club, Korean American Relations Seminar, the Latin Cultural Club, National Society of Black Engineers Club, a group that I work with, Native American Heritage Forum, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, the Spectrum Club for LGBTQ plus students, and of course, the Vietnamese American Cadet Association. These organizations not only served cadets of different ethnic backgrounds, but also connected students with community outreach programs and professional development opportunities, promoted women's leadership within the Army, provided support to the Academy's LGBTQ plus community, and offered education opportunities for every cadet on campus interested and learning about different cultures. The groups were ordered to cease all activities and remove all public-facing content. The memo also orders the Directorate of Cadet Activities to review and revalidate all of the Academy's sanctioned clubs to ensure they're in accordance with the President's executive orders and guidance from the Department of Defense and the Department of the Army. Here's the irony of this. Many of those students who are there were either recruited or influenced by those same organizations who made an intentional connection to students of a particular ethnic background. Now you get rid of the organization. You also are getting rid of the recruitment wing that brought those students to that campus, which is likely the intent. There's more. As of the 5th of February, every webpage for cadet clubs, even those that were not listed in the memo, they have been removed from West Point's website. A memo that newly appointed Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth issued on the 29th of January states that DEI policies are incompatible with the values of the Department of Defense. He also ordered the Department of Defense to stop celebrating cultural awareness months, including Black History Month, in a guidance issued on January 31st. They are intentionally blurring the lines on this. Even if you are somehow opposed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, why would you be opposed to a Black student connecting to the NAACP? Why would you be opposed to a Hispanic student connecting with an advocacy organization for young Hispanics? Why would you be opposed to that? Because these are elements of your free will and your constitutional rights, are they not? But they have now decided to go a step further, intentionally blurring the lines. DEI policy did not bring those student organizations to that campus. What brought those student organizations to the campus? The policy did, just the normative rule. You need to have at least one school administrator or faculty member who agrees and will sign the document and say, yes, I will support, I will supervise this particular student group. It has to pass these various campus policy protocols, and that's it. DEI did not bring them there. DEI did not create those student groups. But all of a sudden, anti-DEI sentiment through an executive order will destroy them. All right, Yasmin, we knew this was coming if Trump got his America that he wanted. So now we're responding to it. Obviously, the students are distraught. These individuals who authentically would like to serve in a greater capacity. What say you?
Yeah, well, Trump is not only getting the America that he wanted, he also got his Hegseth. And we know that Hegseth is only there to do whatever Trump wants him to do. This is all very specific to, it's a strange way to address DEI. And I just want to remind people, this is not even what DEI was originally around for. It started off as something very differently, or something very different. And then the right wing kind of overtook it and made it into this boogeyman that everybody should be afraid of, something that needs to be eradicated from all kinds of organizations, including things like the military and West Point. I already know what the argument in support of West Point will be, and it's going to be that the white students aren't allowed to have white-only organizations themselves. But this is why initiatives like DEI came about and why they were so important and protected, because marginalized groups were being marginalized. That was the idea, because they didn't have representation within greater organizations, so they had to represent themselves. People always love to say that BET was racist, but why did BET need to be a thing in the first place? Because until Michael Jackson, Black people couldn't get on MTV, so they had to do their own thing. It also should not go unmentioned that this is an academy that trains and preps future military service members. The whitewashing of the military, if that's what's actually happening here, is terrifying, specifically because we're talking about the United States military. Our military carries out all kinds of operations on foreign soil, and so many of those operations are not necessarily supported or backed by the public. A lack of diversity means that there is less understanding for others who look or sound differently. And when you extrapolate that onto a global scale, it can have deadly consequences for a lot of innocent people.
Yeah, well said. We will obviously have some updates about this. I'm looking for response from some of the students there. We shall see. All right. Remember the story that we covered, pre-election? Put him up full mask. He's going to walk free. This is an update. Man with a machete who scared Harris voters. Remember that guy? He was scaring elderly voters. Here's your update. Outrage erupts as Florida prosecutor lets white teen walk after he terrorized elderly Kamala Harris voters with a machete at polling site. Indisputable previously covered the story of Caleb James Williams, who faced charges of aggravated assault on a person 65 years of age and older and improper exhibition of a firearm or dangerous weapon. He was arrested in October outside a voting site in Florida after waving his machete at Kamala Harris supporters. In a press conference after the arrest, Neptune Beach Police, the chief, Michael J. Key, said Williams, quote, brandished a machete in an aggressive, threatening posture over his head at two women ages 71 and 54. The Duval County Democratic Party chair, Daniel Henry, said in a statement that the young men had been wielding flags bearing former President Donald Trump's name during the incident, and that the individuals they confronted were carrying signs in support of Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And we all remember this viral photo. Okay, he's having a good time terrorizing older people. Back in October, Williams appeared in court on Wednesday where a judge set his bond at $55,000. He was ordered not to go within 1,000 feet of a polling place unless he was there to vote, and will be outfitted with a GPS monitor, the judge said. Now, a coalition of 16 Florida civil rights groups have sent a letter to state prosecutors urging them to reconsider last week's decision to drop all charges against the 18-year-old Donald Trump supporter accused of threatening two Kamala Harris voters with a large machete. Quote, I'm extremely angry at this, he said during a news conference in October. Quote, it's one thing to exercise your First Amendment right, which we so dearly take as a sacred right, but the moment you move to violence, that goes out the window. To say I'm disturbed is an understatement. I'm mad, end quote. The restaurant busboy was arrested and charged with voter intimidation, improper exhibition of a firearm, and felony aggravated assault on persons 65 or older. Those charges disappeared last week after a last-minute decision by state prosecutors not to prosecute Williams, who was being held on a $55,000 bond at Duval County Jail. Quote, your office's dismissal of this case undermines public confidence in the justice system and fails in its duty to protect Florida voters, end quote. The coalition, which includes representatives from the NAACP, the Southern Poverty Law Center, Black Lives Matter, and the League of Women Voters of Florida, wrote in their letter to Jacksonville State Attorney Melissa Nelson and the Assistant State Attorney Octavius Holliday Jr. Quote, this decision sends a dangerous message that voter intimidation An outright crime under Florida law is tolerated rather than prosecuted. The letter continued. The coalition listed several statutes clearly violated by Williams. The facts of the case as publicly reported appear very compelling, they wrote. The victims, 2 women ages 71 and 54, were subjected to an act of intimidation that no one at a polling location should ever have to endure. Your office's dismissal of this case undermines public confidence in the justice system and fails in its duty to protect Florida voters. And it does, but you see, they don't care about Black people or those on the left. They're just telling you what communities they care about. Because they easily could have given this 18-year-old time served, meaning he still gets to go home, time served with probation, community service, and an apology. That would have actually been some level of penalty, even if it's not the level of penalty many would have preferred. But to summarily dismiss all charges without credible explanation to why is the slap in the face that these organizations are speaking of. There is no reason why all of these charges should have been dismissed. None. Everybody was in agreement. This was an extreme act. It did, in fact, intimidate both of these voters, but they're telling you what communities they are willing to advocate justice for and what communities they don't give a damn if justice is served for or not. That's all they're telling you. Yes, thoughts here.
Well, I guess he's not a shooter. I guess he's not as much of a statistic. Machete threats are significantly less common than gun threats, but who knows? Maybe we'll get open machete carry soon. If it happens anywhere, we'll probably get it here in Texas. So I will let you all know how that goes. But I don't love that someone who is engaging in voter intimidation wasn't prosecuted. They can pretend that he wasn't technically threatening anyone, but people are tired of being lied to and gaslit about the things they're seeing and experiencing for themselves. Don't tell me that that wasn't voter intimidation when it so obviously was. If I turned up to my polling location and there was a kid waving around a machete, I would go to a different polling location. I'm not sticking around just to see what happens. And that's the whole point. They're trying to make us crazy and it's working. It's narcissistic abuse on a national scale, and it's coming from a small but very loud and very entitled segment of our society. This isn't okay, and we really don't need to pretend that it is.
That's right. Well said. Obviously, we're looking for other cases that were similar prior to the election. We will see what happens in the adjudication process. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked. My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need Healthcare, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. Got a lot of comments. We'll read as many as I can. Guam capsize. Guam capsize dragon. I'm surprised the cops didn't hit each other. Circular firing squad. Yeah. Drag on. I suppose a neo-Nazi club was also disbanded, right? Informal meeting. Snack Panther, how the hell are cops that afraid of a damn wrench? That's right. And Twitch, Gal for 71, if 34 hit him, then I say they each fired at least 20 shots. West Point, Pam J, I never thought I'd see the day that everything our ancestors fought for would become eliminated. Well, that's their attempt, but we are light. We are light. They are darkness. What is light? Light is information. Light is knowledge. Light is wisdom. It empowers people. They are trying to stop light, stop information, stop knowledge, and stop wisdom. We won't allow that. All right, got something for you, ladies and gentlemen. I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Here, American. Keep on walking. Keep on walking. You don't want to trouble. Keep on walking.
I have it.
Go.
I'm American.
Go keep on walking then.
If you're American husband and wife and my wife, you have to keep far, brother. No, I do deeply far.
Keep walking.
No, I just know this cartel.
Keep walking. Keep walking.
I can stay where I want.
Yeah, put him up full mass. This male Karen thought it was a good idea to question a family's citizenship status. We're going to keep him up. Berenice Rodriguez posted this encounter on TikTok and gave more background to what allegedly happened. Here are the allegations she wrote on TikTok. Quote, couple of days ago, we were driving to my in-laws. We noticed this guy walking in the middle of the street. My husband All right, welcome back. Technical difficulty. Our apologies. Okay, so the allegation goes, a couple of days ago, as we were driving to my in-laws, we noticed this guy walking in the middle of the street. My husband was driving. I was in the back seat with my baby and my 6-year-old. We thought, okay, he will move once we get closer. He didn't. He stood there in the middle of the street and stared at my husband while mouthing words and making hand gestures. We drove by and I turned around to see him now following us. We pulled into my in-laws' driveway since it was just a few houses down from where we first made contact with him. The guy catches up to us, and as we are getting down, he asked my husband if he spoke English. My husband said no, just so the guy could be on his way and not entertain him. This guy proceeds to tell us, quote, "Y'all need to get the F out of my country and go back to Mexico," end quote, which I didn't catch on the camera. Quote, "This is America and you need to speak American," end quote. I'm American and I can say whatever I want. My husband then in English told him to keep on walking because he didn't want any problems. This guy then tells my husband he can beat his A if he wanted to, because again, he is American and he can do whatever he wants. My husband stood his ground, did not allow this man to belittle him for being Hispanic. This is the kind of right that some people think they have just because I'm American and I can say, do whatever I want, end quote. I now have my 6-year-old asking me, why that man say those things? How do I explain to her what racism is? How do I explain to her what our current reality is? Well, it's a very sad reality, isn't it? Just reminding your child how much you love your child, how much your family loves that child, how much love that child has in that household. It's one of the best ways to buffer the bigotry and the hate that exists. Put his picture back up again. Somebody knows him. I would assume somebody loves you, sir. Looks like you may need a hug. I know something about people like you. I know that people that seem like they deserve our love the least really need our love the most. You are that way because somebody did not love you properly. And I say this in all due respect. And because of that lack of love inside of you, you are now sending that lack of love to other people. I'm encouraging you to connect to your higher self. Because if you keep doing this, somebody's going to kick your ass. Luckily, you ran into the right family. They simply wanted to have a peaceful day. All right, Yas, thoughts here.
Yeah, this story just proves my point that I'm always making, that racist people are stupid people. He wanted that man to speak American. This is not a smart person that we're dealing with here. And not being smart, plus being incredibly entitled, just like I mentioned in that last story about the small, loud, and entitled faction of American society that truly supports Trump and his agenda. The two combined is a scary combination. This stupid man thinks that he can do whatever he wants because he's an American. And these people can't be reasoned with. They can't be made to understand complex ideas. They find comfort in hatred and anger because they're addicts. And they don't have the mental capabilities to challenge their own existing beliefs. They love to be triggered. And it's annoying for the rest of us. We all wish they would stop, or at least just leave us alone. If you're gonna be angry and hateful and racist, just stay home. Just don't go to the grocery store. Don't go outside. If this man wasn't standing outside, everybody would have had a much better day.
That's right. Well said. All right. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier. Let me remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. Lot of show left. Let me read a couple of these comments. Kind of pressed for time, read as many as I can. And yeah. Donald James X says, this guy didn't get shot and he had a machete. It's a great point. Imagine the black male in Florida doing the same thing. All right, hell of a thing. Oscar nominated Emilia Pérez under fire. The star is under fire for offensive tweets, but at a full mass, hell of a story here. All right, so Ms. Pérez, star, superstar, Oscars Best Actress nominee, Karla Sofía Gascón, is under fire for a series of social media posts to her X account in which the actor appears to express some controversial views on Muslims, George Floyd, and diversity at the Oscars. The post, many of which are now deleted, on Thursday after they were resurfaced by a journalist, Sarah Hagi, were largely posted between 2020 and 2021. One example dated November 22nd, 2020, quote, "I'm sorry. Is it just my impression? Or is there more Muslims in Spain? Question mark. Every time I go to pick up my daughter from school, there are more women with their hair covered and their skirts down to their heels. Next year, instead of English, we'll have to teach Arabic," end quote. Along with her post about Islam, Gascón posted a long thread about George Floyd, obviously, just days after he was killed by police, inspiring protests across the U.S. Quote, "I really think that very few people ever cared about George Floyd, a drug addict swindler. But his death has served to once again demonstrate that there are people who still consider Black people to be monkeys without rights and consider policemen to be assassins." She posted, "They're all wrong." Obviously, this is coming from the first openly trans actor to be nominated for an Academy Award. Also weighed in on the Oscar ceremony from 2021, the first held following the COVID pandemic, in which Nomadland won Best Picture. Quote, "More and more, the hashtag Oscars are looking like a ceremony for independent and protest films. I didn't know I was watching an Afro-Korean festival, a Black Lives Matter demonstration, or the 8M. Apart from that, an ugly, ugly gala." All right, let's put it up. When this happens, obviously there are people who have been rocking with you in Hollywood that sometimes will get a question. So there were also allegations that she once referred to her co-star, Selena Gomez, as a rich rat on Twitter. The alleged post says in full, quote, "She's a rich rat who plays the poor B word whenever she can and will never stop bothering her ex-boyfriend and his wife," referring to Gomez's ex, Justin Bieber, and his wife, Haley. She, however, insists that those words did not come from her. Quote, "I have never said anything about my colleague," she told CNN. "I would never refer to her that way." Freelance culture writer Sarah Hagi, a Canada-based journalist, uncovered the tweets and found herself at the center of the conversation while visiting family in Southeast Asia as she followed her journalistic instinct, researching the political leanings of the star after noticing what she described as a, quote, "dog whistle" in a post. What she discovered was far worse than she anticipated. Tweets in Spanish ranging from anti-Muslim sentiment to outright bigotry, all of which had remained public and actually unchallenged. During an interview with Variety, she said, "You think that with this level of visibility, someone on her team at Netflix or behind her campaign would have reviewed her tweets, yet they were still up. It wasn't just about one comment. There were tweets about George Floyd and many other things. It signaled arrogance, either a belief that these things don't matter or the assumption that no one would bother looking. When someone in a historic position representing a film built on so-called progressive values has a history of racist and bigoted tweets, it exposes the hypocrisy of it all. This isn't about meaningful representation. It's just marketing. And that marketing falls apart when the person at the center of it is a racist bigot. So how did Netflix not catch this? All right, let's get into it. The price of vetting a nominee's social media history and scrubbing offensive posts is minuscule compared to the cost of courting Oscar voters through tastemaker screenings, for your consideration ads, and lavish parties. A full court press that can cost upwards of $30 million, say sources familiar with the campaign spending. The cost of vetting, by contrast, runs anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on how prolific a contender is on social media. Tensions are said to be high between Gascon and the streamer, which has invested millions in the film's award push. It was flourishing as recently as January 23rd, when the film received a field-leading 13 Oscar nominations, just one shy of the all-time record. But now, at the most inopportune moment, it is on life support thanks to the revelations. In the meantime, with the final round of Oscar voting set to begin Tuesday on the 11th of February, Netflix is clearly undertaking its efforts to try to keep Emilia Pérez's other nominees, including and especially Best Supporting Actress nominee Zendaya, who heretofore has been the clear front runner in her category, clear from this debris. So let's go to a Q&A. During the Q&A London event, co-star Zoe Saldana responded to the tweet saying, quote, "I'm still processing everything that has transpired in the last couple of days, and I'm sad. It makes me really sad because I don't support it. I don't have any tolerance for any negative rhetoric towards people of any group," end quote. There's more to this. My goodness. All right. So Karla Sofía Gascón has claimed that her co-stars Zoe Saldana and Selena Gomez support me 200%. Exact quote, "support me 200%. When asked about this, Saldana, taking a long blink, did not confirm that claim. Instead, she referred back to a statement she made in London. Quote, "I do not support any negative rhetoric of racism and bigotry towards any group of people. That is what I want to stand for." Emilia Pérez, director Jack Edward, said in an interview, "It's very hard for me to think back to the work I did with Karla Sofía of making Emilia Pérez his Oscar-contending Netflix musical thriller about a Mexican drug cartel who transitions into a woman. The movie led this year's Academy Awards nominations list with 13, the most ever, for a film predominantly in a non-English language, including for Best Picture, Gascon's lead performance, and the screenplay and direction. The French director also has been heavily criticized by the Mexican and trans community over its Portrait Over Mexico, poor casting, and problematic way the trans experience is depicted. More controversy, he said during an interview, quote, "The exceptional atmosphere that we had on the set," he continued, "was indeed based on trust. And when you have that kind of relationship, and suddenly you read something that person has said, things that are absolutely hateful and worthy of being hated, of course that relationship is affected. It's as if you fall into a hole. I haven't spoken to her and I don't want to." That's what he told Deadline when asked about contacting Gascon. "She is in a self-destructive approach that I can't interfere in. And I really don't understand why she's continuing. Why is she harming herself? She's talking about herself as a victim, which is surprising. It's as if she thought the words don't hurt." He added, She is also harming people who were very close to her, including the Emilia Pérez group or crew and her Oscar-nominated co-stars. I'm not getting in touch with her because right now she needs space to reflect and take accountability for her action. Let's go to the apologies. So following the public outcry over her old post, she issued an apology and deactivated her X account, formerly Twitter, on the 31st of January. The Spanish actress posted another statement on Tuesday to her IG saying she has, quote, nothing to hide, and asking media outlets how she should move forward amid awards season where she and Emilia are nominated at the February 7th Critics' Choice Awards, February 16th award show as well, and March 2nd Oscars. So on February 2nd, she appeared on CNN in an emotional interview refuting accusations of racism and Islamophobia and addressing her alleged post on X against Emilia Pérez co-star Selena Gomez. I cannot step down from an Oscar nomination because I have not committed any crime, nor have I harmed anyone. She said per CNN, I am neither racist nor anything that all these people have tried to make others believe I am, end quote. During the interview, she occasionally broke down in tears, citing a relationship with a wonderful woman who is a Muslim, who has taught her about respect and to understand perhaps better than in the past. She later said that she has been 100% supportive or supported by her at this moment. The CNN interviewer then posed a question to address a tweet she wrote that read, quote, this is the same as always. Black slaves and the woman in the kitchen. But this is my opinion and it must be respected. I do not understand so much world war against Hitler. He simply had his opinion of the Jews. The end. That's how the world goes. In response, she said she was once again using third person as if I were a Nazi. She added that with her tweets about Floyd, Muslims, and Hitler taken together, quote, it appears that this is a terrible, evil person when precisely I am intending to reflect the opposite. Wow. There's a level of denial here that damn near seems Trumpian. But I do believe she's smarter than Trump, which is ironic. Yes, a lot of back and forth here. At the end of the day, I think the director had it right. This is basically sabotage, and the individual has not been reflective. What say you?
Well, okay. First of all, Arabic being spoken in Spanish is not historically unheard of. So that was a weird thing for her to complain about. Also, I've been way more invested in the It Ends With Us drama than this drama. But I will say that I do feel for Zoe Saldana on this. That aside, there are so many aspects to the story that have upset people. The tweets are just the latest in an already long list of things. Full disclosure, I have not seen this movie. I knew we were going to talk about it today on the show. So I thought about watching it last night, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I love a metaphorical train wreck and I love a terrible movie, but I just didn't feel, I couldn't do it. First of all, this movie has been nominated for 13 Academy Awards. For context, Return of the King was only nominated for 11 Academy Awards. In what world does this movie earn more nominations than Lord of the Rings? Secondly, it won a Golden Globe for Best Musical, beating Wicked. Again, in what world? Wicked was the most perfect screen adaptation of a stage musical I think I've ever seen. I've only seen clips of the musical numbers in Emilia Pérez, but my God, they were not good. Maybe they make more sense in context, but I have not been enticed to watch the movie from the clips that I've seen. Third, this movie was supposed to be, or could have been, representative of both the Mexican community and the trans community, but neither of those communities felt seen or fairly represented in this movie. if they say there's a problem with this, if those communities say this movie is no good, they would know. Mexicans say that the movie portrayed them stereotypically and negatively. And the director even said that he did no research into the Mexican culture before filming a movie about Mexican people that was set in Mexico. They filmed it in France, I believe, by the way. For the transgender community, they say that the movie made it seem as though transitioning from male to female rid the former cartel boss, I think she was, of her former sins. That's not how things work. And she reverts to her deeper male voice in the film toward the end when she gets upset. The trans community also had issues with that. Then this thing started racking up awards and nominations. Once award season came around, it was clearly Oscar bait, and the Academy, et cetera, they all ate it up. Personally, I don't put a whole lot of stock in these award shows, but it's very disappointing to see that things like this work. It seems as though they were eager to reward a film that they deemed to be politically edgy, even though the film has been said to be an objectively bad movie. Again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know firsthand. But now the tweets have resurfaced from someone in an already marginalized community. The tweets were especially disappointing. Some people are saying that these tweets were unearthed in an effort to discredit the actress and remove her from awards considerations. Not just because she's trans, but because the movie is so undeserving of all of these accolades that it's getting. If the Academy won't listen to artistic reason, then maybe this will sway them. But from what I've seen, even from the tweets that you read and from, Gascón has not really repented for the things that she said in the past. She's playing the victim now. I know she's made her apology statement. I wasn't very impressed with it. And I'm not even one to necessarily punish people for things that they've said in the past. I get that people change. I know people don't like the excuse that, times were different and people just felt and spoke differently about things, but that can absolutely be a thing. People act like they've never said anything they've later regretted. But these remarks from Gascón were not made that long ago. The Hitler stuff is unacceptable. How do you explain that away? And again, the fact that these comments came from someone from an especially marginalized and demonized group makes it all the more unforgivable. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and you made great points. One, the industry itself, they were so quick to simply push this as the bait without having a proper vetting process for the individuals who are at the forefront of the whole thing. And then secondly, anytime you rise to a new level, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you put something out there and you have not atoned for it, it's going to meet you everywhere you go. If it be a lie or some kind of racist statement or insensitive statement, especially if you are promoting progressive values. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier, and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked.
My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reform, so I won't stop. You won't stop either. All right, welcome back. Country fans are livid. I mean, they've been getting win after win. They're getting W's all around. Trump is elected. MAGA is in power. You got known bigots in charge of the government, but they are upset that Beyoncé got Best Country Album Grammy. Here it is.
As somebody who lives in Nashville, unpopular opinion, maybe, I don't know, maybe popular. Beyoncé winning Best Country Album is a slap in the face to the ones like Lainey and Casey and Chris that have dedicated their entire career life to being a country music artist. I don't care what you tell me. Didn't hate her album, just don't think it's country music.
Hey, real quick, this message is for Beyoncé. If you're not Beyoncé, you can keep scrolling, but I'm gonna give her a minute to get here. Hey girl, hey, Miss Beyoncé, Miss Destiny Child, Miss Jay-Z's wife, Miss Cowboy Carter. Look, I don't know what I'm supposed to call you, okay? I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm supposed to call you. And I know this might be hard to understand because I have such a country twang, and that might be hard for you to understand. But I just have a question for you. How much did that Grammy cost you? Because you see, I have a new bookshelf, and I thought maybe a Grammy would look kind of cute on it. So how much did it cost you?
I'm sorry, did Beyoncé not have enough money, fame, and recognition that she had to come into country music artist space? Last night at the Grammys, apparently she won Best Country Album and Best Country Duo. It's disgusting and it's ridiculous. And I hope they all go bankrupt. You and Cowboy Carter, go away.
You can call them Miss Best Country Album of the Year. That's what you can call them. I mean, damn. We can't win nothing? I mean, some TikTokers presented a counter argument. Here it is.
Beyoncé winning Album of the Year after Jay-Z stood up on that stage the year before and bitched and moaned and complained that she, all these Grammys, the most Grammys ever, has never won album.
Hey girl, I think you dropped your hood. Truth be told, I didn't watch the whole video because I knew it was going to be filled with dog whistles and racist rants anyways. Seeing a lot of posts like this from you people on this app and other platforms, I just want to say, I get it. You're big mad. It must be really difficult for you not to see mediocrity rewarded again.
I am just loving watching all of my fellow white people pretend to give a shit that Beyonce just won Country Album of the Year at the Grammys. Like, don't y'all have 4 award shows designated for this genre specifically? You'll be okay. People are literally melting down saying Beyonce is making a mockery of country music. She doesn't know country music. What country music are y'all so vehemently gatekeeping right now? Morgan Wallen? Luke Bryan? Because the state of country music over the past 20 years has been dire. All the music that you hear in country radio nowadays is just cheap, recycled beats stolen from another genre called hip hop, which is a black dominated genre, right? With some lyrics about John Deere's and slugging beers thrown in. You can't really appropriate a genre that's been appropriating several other genres for the past 2 decades. And also, if you know anything about music history, almost everything, country music started with black people.
I'm going to demonstrate the double standard that there is when it comes to what's considered real country. This is a chart that I have made, and I'll explain it to you. This is Blake Shelton. He is a white man. He is from the South, and he has a classic country sound, and he's considered real country. This is Keith Urban. He's a white man. He is not from the South. He's actually not even from America. And he has a classic country sound, so he's still considered a real country. Then there's Morgan Wallen. He's a white man. He's from the South, but he experiments with his sound. He actually implements a lot of sounds that come from black culture. For example, he puts beats in his country songs, but he is still considered real country. Then we have Darius Rucker. Darius Rucker is a black man. He's from the South, and he has a classic country sound, and so he is considered real country. Lastly, there is Beyoncé. She is a black woman. She is from the South, and she experiments with her music. She is not considered real country.
Give her Country Album of the Year when she didn't win a single country music award this year.
Jesus Christ on a cracker. In 2007, the Chicks won 5 Grammys. Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Country Performance of the Year, Country Album of the Year, and Album of the Year. I want you to guess how many CMA awards they were nominated for that year. I'll wait while you Google it. 0. How could an album that swept at the Grammys not be nominated for a single CMA. That same album, that country music refused to play on the radio. Refused to play on the radio, wouldn't nominate for their awards. It's almost like there was a reason. The truth is that the CMAs that did that to the Chicks back in 2007 are the same CMAs that snubbed Cowboy Carter this year. It's like the country music good old boys club.
You know, this reminds me, I'm not a country music guy, all right? But this reminds me of when Eminem hit the hip hop scene. We embraced Eminem. You know why we embraced Eminem? Hell, we still embrace Eminem. Because the man got skills. That's all. He got skills. All right, put it up full mass. The news that Beyonce's album, Cowboy Carter, also won the award for Best Country Album of the Year at the Grammys has simply ravaged the world of white American country music fans. Massive Trump supporting author Nick Adams wrote, quote, "No, Beyonce does not deserve to win a Grammy for Best Country Album. Cowboy Carter is not an authentic country music album. The Grammys are a complete and total joke." This poster wrote, quote, "Beyonce is not a country singer. Her winning a Grammy for Best Country Album is all the proof needed to show that the Grammys is nothing more than music industry propaganda." As Zach Lindley of News One writes in response, descendants of the musicians and recording artists who culturally appropriated virtually every musical genre that ever engaged in are super mad. This Black woman from Houston, Texas has taken over one of their beloved stolen art forms. If they're not attacking Post Malone the way they're attacking Bey, which they aren't, is clearly not the genre hopping they have a problem with. These can't be the same people who praise the corny-ass MAGA infomercial Jason Aldean tried to pass off as authentic country music. Okay. I thought we were in a post-racial society, people. I thought you all didn't see color. Yes, thoughts here.
Yeah, well, I am from Houston also, like Beyonce. So if I don't stick up for her, I think I'll get in trouble for being a bad Houstonian. It's probably fine. It's not that serious around here. But I didn't watch the Grammys. I think I said in the last story that I don't put a whole lot of stock in these award shows. The nominations and the winners, they all kind of feel very arbitrary to me, you know, I also don't like the idea of art being deemed the best of something. You know, we can all be good. We can all have good art, right? To that woman who said she doesn't know what to call Beyonce Miss Destiny Child. Who has ever called her Miss Destiny's Child? No one calls her that. It's dumb. All right. So I did listen to Cowboy Carter. I'm not even like a huge Beyonce fan. Like I'm not in her beehive or anything. I respect her. I loved her set at Coachella. Her voice is incredible. Her energy on the stage is unmatched. But I thought the album was good. I liked it. I listened to it a few times. And yes, the irony of white people getting mad about Black people singing country music is crazy. Tell me you don't know history. It's like Southern Black people are only allowed to sing gospel music around here, you know? Keith Urban has always been confusing to me. So good on that woman for pointing out the fact that it's very strange that he has been so easily and readily embraced in this American country scene. And also shout out to Darius Rucker. He did face quite a lot of backlash back in the day when he transitioned from Hootie and the Blowfish. Love Hootie and the Blowfish, by the way, to his country career. So respect to him. Besides, Beyonce doesn't need to be a country singer to put out a country album. We know that because she did it. Also, what even makes someone a real country singer? A country singer is anyone who sings country music, presumably professionally, which is what she's doing. So as long as she's doing it, she's a country singer.
That's right. And I love her motivation for doing it. It was because of the racism she experienced on one fateful night. And that's when she decided she would come out, transform that negative energy into beneficial energy. And look at it now. Yeah, it's always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Yeah, you can find me over on Rebel HQ. I do 4 videos a week over there. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at Yaz, KYAZZZZZK. That's it.
Always a pleasure. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.